Okay folks, so there's some winter weather advisories out right now for a large amount of the United States, and there's Truck Parking Club locations all over through those. So if you need a safe place to park this weekend, first of all, make sure your tanks are full of diesel, you have the supplies you need to survive, water, food, whatever it is. Go to Dollar Tree or wherever you can, get some peanut butter and jelly, whatever you need to survive. Make sure that you're not going to be hungry or anything's going to happen, and use promo code FERN25, lowercase FERN 25, to get $25 off your first booking. And if you need to stay for longer, just extend your stay and pay the money, because I guarantee right now, whatever you're going to pay to stay to park and be safe is going to be a lot cheaper than a tow bill or the damages you're going to have from a wrecked truck. If you don't have to drive, do not drive. The load is not worth your life. So stay safe, my friends, and keep on trucking. All right, what is going on, folks? Wednesday, hump day, our favorite day of the week, if you know what I mean. And just getting some tools picked up here, because obviously, as you can see, I've got a mess and there's no fuel tanks on the truck. Look at this crud that's on here. Now let's take them over there and look at the tanks here. This is the driver's side. Obviously, you can see from all this crap. The fuel lines were a super pain in the butt. They were fighting me the whole way. I had to use the heat gun on a couple of them. Then I had to bust out the old MAP gas, and that was kind of sketch because, you know, diesel isn't explosive, but it will burn. So this one was a straight pain, and I had Noah come out and help me and try to crank on it, and he couldn't get it cranked off. So then he left and walked away, and I was laying under the truck with the MAP gas. I threw some breakaway on there, and next thing, or PB blaster, and then next thing you know, I just heated it up and let it rock, and then I just tightened it up and cranked it loose and drained the rest of the diesel fuel over from the crossover tube. And that was the only one that was hooked up to that. This one fought me on the return line, the suction line. The crossover tube came off just fine, but then that whole section that's down here was moving around on me a little bit from the three-prong banger they got hooked up for the lines. It was a pain in the butt, but we got them off. Didn't meet my quota for today because I wanted to have them both off, washed out on the inside, and I wanted to have the fifth wheel and the plate washed and cleaned too outside, because it's 55 degrees today down here, and there's some real crappy weather that's supposed to be coming this weekend. So let's go over there and we'll show them what we've got going on. But regardless, for this, I've just got a couple cotter pins to take off, and then I can knock these pins out and these can come off. I was going to order some new ones of these, but I don't think we can find them with these, so we're gonna have to rock these out. We are gonna need to get some of these new 12-inch eye bolts, because I had to cut them off. The first one I took off went through here, and it fought me the whole way, and I was able to use this guy right here and get it off, but I mean, I had to take a brush, I had to sit there and clean them. I heated it up with a heat gun, because there was so much grime and buildup on the back of these, and it's fine thread. The stuff is such a pain in the butt to get, and this one was back in here. There's no way I was going to be able to just crank that off by hand. It would have took me all day, so I said, piss on it, I'm just going to cut them off with a cutoff wheel, because that's the kind of guy I am. I can replace this stuff, so if you ever run into a problem where you can't get something off, just get your cutoff wheel, cut it off, because bolts you break and things you cut off, you can find and replace. So moving on over here to this, what we have on the ground over here, you obviously seen us get this off. Now that was a debacle, but yes, there's no forklift here. There's no engine hoist here. The first time I ever came in here, there was nothing in the shop but a workout bench and a car park plugged in to get charged. That was it. So basically everything that you see out here, these ladders, these desks and stuff like that, Noah got and brought over here from me from another building that the stuff was left. So I can use these when I paint the cab and stuff like that. And then all this stuff is mine, and then I brought this from one other room, blah, 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 blah. So yesterday, I cleaned this up. I don't know if you remember how dirty this was, and if you watch the video in the short, we lifted this up when I threw the strap in there, and this thing was full of grime piled up to here. So I basically scraped it all out and dumped it in a box that's right over here next to me. And then I had to, these had the spring clips in these pins. Let me grab one. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a little pin that's twisted around that goes in there, and then it expands and it holds the tight, because this was sitting out here like this. This pin was in here like this, and this was sitting out here on the ears of the fifth wheel, if that's what you want to call them. You call them whatever you want to. So I cut those off and tapped them off because we needed that fifth wheel off of the plate so it would be easier to move around, and when we go to mount this, it's not going to be as heavy. Yes, we're going to probably do it the same way because A, I'm not going to spend somebody else's money on an engine hoist. B, I'm not going to spend my money on an engine hoist when I know how to do it. We're going to put the thing on just like we took it off. Front, back, plate. So then we will lift that up, because me and Noah pretty much back to Cushman up. We moved this over here to where it was right here, and we had the Cushman right there. And I got on top of it. I manhandled it off because it was heavy. Don't get me wrong, this is heavy. It was so heavy we couldn't get it off of here. So I manhandled it off, and I just threw it, dumped it in the back of the Cushman, and then we dumped it down, and it basically hit right here, and then the both of us just lifted it up and shoved it to where it is. So now I can get this all cleaned up. I can flip it around. I would like to get this down to where we can manhandle it. I can flip it on its side and stuff like that. So yes, we would need a hoist like that unless we just decide we're going to dump it straight on something. But unfortunately, there's not a ton of pallets here. There's only a couple, but there is a blue check pallet over there that has those rims on it. So if I find some cardboard, or I may take the mats we have, which aren't going to be hard enough. There's just no, there's no materials and stuff like that. If I was at my house, I got all kinds of crap boards and stuff like that from old barns and shit and whatever that I could use, because I'm a resourceful kind of guy, and that's what I would do. So I would just grab something, throw on top to protect those rims, because I don't want those rims getting chipped up. They're already chipped up from when the people brought them and they loaded them. They throw them around and chip all this stuff up, and this powder coat's already coming off at a couple places. But I do have a pinstriping kit with hardener that I'll probably touch a couple spots up with. Besides the point, I need that check pallet so we can probably flip that bitch down on top of it and hope that it lands okay, or we'll just lift it up and we'll kind of drag it down. Now, if I had like a 2x6, couple 2x6s, we just set that bad boy up there, we lift it and we let it slide down on there, but we don't have any, and the weather's supposed to get super nasty. But if I want to take Piss Willie uptown and grab something before the weather gets too shitty, I can. So we'll see what happens, but that's the progress for today. We've got the tanks off. This is taken care of. Tomorrow, after I take care of getting all those straps off and stuff like that and clean the tanks up, I'm going to take them out. I'm going to blast. Let's go over here real quick, and I'll see if I can get my little light to show down in here one of these tanks. I do believe it's somewhat of algae or grime. You can completely tell that these tanks sat for a super long time. Let me spin this one real quick. Where's that thing at? I'm going to have to lift it up and spin it. Okay, that should be good enough for us to be able to look down in here so you guys can get your eyes on what I'm talking about, because I want you to see the kind of mess and debacle we're dealing with. And here's where the fuel gauge thing went. You can obviously see how rusted out these are. That's just a breather tube. This was not coming off with no screwdriver. I'm probably going to have to tap those out with the drill bit and then rip them out, or tap them out the rest of the way with some channel locks or something. Or you see that grime in there? Yeah, so that's how that was. This fuel tank obviously sat with probably a quart of fuel for who knows how long. How long do you think it sat? You think 20 years, 10 years? It sat for a while. So, and I told him you can get that like diesel clean, fuel clean stuff and put in there. But the problem with that is I'm going to do a full service on this truck and change all the filters. I don't want to run some fuel tank cleaner in there and that stuff break down and then all end up in the fuel system or my filter and clog it up. If I'm driving it, if somebody else is going, because somebody else isn't me and they're not going to know what to do if something like that happens. 90% of the time, I have stuff that on me in my truck that I can just pull over to the side of the road, rip that fuel filter off, dump some fuel or ATF in the new fuel filter, and then put it back on and we're straight. But not everybody's me, so it's what it is. But that's your update for today. Hopefully you guys like, share, subscribe, enjoy it. Make sure you're keeping up with the content and clicking that thumbs up button because they need some watch hours so I can get them monetized. That's my goal while I'm down here. And we are live. Fish Fry Friday, all you can eat. We're standing right in front of Piss Willie. Piss Willie is the shop truck that Hunter got for me to go get and run parts. $1,500, you can't beat it. The tires are great. Some leaks here and there, but it's okay. And it's left me stranded twice, but I fixed that because there was some corrosion around the battery cable. What do we have in Piss Willie? Just picked up a case of water because the weather's supposed to be super sketchy this weekend. So just in case some drivers get here, I wanted to make sure there was plenty of water and supplies. So I ran up to the Dollar Tree and got some commissary if I needed to feed some people, and some other things from Ingles, the grocery store. Well, when Piss Willie first got here, he had two wheel lights. But for some odd reason, both of them wouldn't work, and neither one would work. So I checked the fuse. There was a bad fuse, and then I replaced the fuse with a bigger fuse, and I got that one to work. Yesterday, I figured out this one was blown out, so I just took it off because we don't want to be dorky with two, and one that works and one that doesn't. So that's a tour of Piss Willie. It's a 2003 with a V6 in him, and man, he doesn't like to shift from first to second, but it is what it is. He still gets the job done and gets us down the road. Moving along, we're going to walk over to the fuel tanks and check them out because I got all that corrosion off that was on there. I basically used a wire brush on my wire wheel on my drill to clean some of this off. And I plan on sanding some of this stuff down right here where the straps go just because it's nasty. Took the caps off. Pretty much drained them out completely outside. There was a little bit left in the tanks, and then I pressure washed the inside so they're a lot cleaner, but I still need to take something with a rag and try to clean them out to get everything that I can out of there. Some of the stuff is stained on the side, but it is what it is. So moving on to the fifth wheel. Unfortunately, I have it flipped upside down right now, so you can't see the top plate, but Noah's seen it, and maybe he can put a picture at the end of this. Because he did take a picture and send it to the boys. But look how clean the bottom of that is. Now, I'm into restoring old things back to originality. There's still some grime built up around here, but I plan on painting all this, so I'll probably take the wire wheel and clean that up. But the fact that there was grease piled up in here and you can see the actual numbers on here is insane. And if I was holding the camera and we had another pallet here, I'd have Noah manhandle this thing and flip it over. But I flipped it over from that pallet onto this pallet just so I could get the bottom because I want to clean it up all the best I can and paint everything. I also took some red scuffing pad and did this last night a little bit just to see how that would go, and that smoothed that out pretty well. So that's probably what I'll do on the whole cab, and then some of the spots where there's little nicks and dangs, I'll use a body filler to fill those in before, and then I'll just prime over it and sand it back down to where it's all smooth and one surface is complete. So let's walk over here to the other side of the engine because Noah came back after meeting yesterday and I just showed him this and he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, dude. So basically just shot some engine primer, 2000 degree paint on this just to see how it would stick. Now, I'm not going to leave it. I do need to clean it up some, but I just wanted to see how it would go over some of the surface rust because we don't necessarily plan on sandblasting the whole thing down, but I will clean up all the chips and stuff like that and just brush all of the stuff off so we can get this to, you know, the original factory color that it was red, which you can see right there. and most of the rest is just rusty. It's like all the paint come off and this is all just surface rust. So I'm still working my way around the frame and stuff, cleaning up most of the grease, but there's like a million things for one guy to do, and the one guy's doing the best he can. So hopefully everybody enjoys, likes, shares, and subscribes to the Truck Parking Club YouTube channel, and comes along on this journey with us, because we're far from done and this is far from over. But I mean, it's what it is. We'll get there when we get there, and when we get there, you'll probably be surprised, because it's not going to look like the truck that it was when I drove it here from day one.